I was driving Wednesday at like 6 p.m. on Las Vegas Boulevard and I realized, oh my God, there's no people walking around. And when I saw that, I realized we're in trouble as a city right now.
What if I told you that the dream of moving to Las Vegas has turned into a financial nightmare for thousands of families? A city once sold as the land of sunshine, no state income tax, and affordable homes is now forcing newcomers to pack up and leave within a single year. Why? Because behind the neon lights and glittering strip lies a harsh reality that few outsiders ever see. Stay with me until the very end, because the truth about Las Vegas in 2025 might completely change the way you see Sin City forever. Number 9. The heat and climate crisis. For many newcomers, the breaking point isn't money, it's the weather. Picture this. You move to Las Vegas in March. It's a perfect 75 degrees. The desert sky is crystal blue and you're thinking, why didn't I move here sooner? Then July arrives. Suddenly you step outside and it feels like you've opened the door to an oven set at 115 degrees Fahrenheit. The sidewalk burns your shoes, your car's steering wheel feels like molten metal, and your dog can't even take a midday walk without risking heat stroke. This isn't just hot, it's dangerous. Las Vegas now records more heat-related emergencies than almost any other U.S. city, rivaled only by Phoenix. Elderly residents and retirees, who make up a growing share of the population, face the greatest risk. For families, the relentless sun means higher bills, limited outdoor activities, and even concerns about long-term health. Then there's the financial sting. Running the air conditioner around the clock isn't optional, it's survival. Residents report $400 monthly power bills for small homes, and some larger households see spikes to $700 a month in the peak of summer. That's an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a year just to stay cool. Pair that with already high housing costs, and the dream of affordable desert living starts to melt away. But the heat is only half the story. Las Vegas sits in the middle of the worst drought in modern history. Lake Mead has dropped to its lowest level since the 1930s, raising fears about long-term water supply. While city officials tout impressive conservation efforts, Las Vegas actually uses less water today than it did 20 years ago, despite having 500,000 more residents. The optics are grim. Locals watch their lawns get ripped out to save water, while California golf courses still look emerald green. It's not just an environmental issue, it's a psychological one. Many families worry, what will Las Vegas look like in 20 years? Will there even be enough water for our kids? That creeping uncertainty is pushing some residents to pack up and find cooler, more sustainable places to live. So while high home prices may price people out, the relentless climate makes many ask if staying is even worth it. But if you think blistering heat is tough, wait until you hear how Las Vegas schools are failing families and driving parents to make the hardest choice of all, leaving. Number 8. The school system struggles. Ask any parent why they left Las Vegas, and you'll hear the same frustrated sigh before they answer. The schools. Families who once moved here for affordable housing and sunshine are now pulling their kids out of Clark County classrooms and heading elsewhere. And it's not just perception, the numbers back it up. In a recent national study of the 50 largest metropolitan areas, Las Vegas ranked second to last in overall school quality. That's not just disappointing, it's devastating for families who expected to find stability. Clark County School District is the 5th largest in the country, with more than 300,000 students. On paper, that sounds impressive. In practice, it means overcrowded classrooms, underfunded programs, and teachers stretched so thin they can't give kids the attention they deserve. Parents moving from states like Colorado or Massachusetts are often shocked by the contrast. They find larger class sizes, fewer resources, and a growing concern over safety. Since the pandemic, reports of school violence and behavioral issues have spiked. Some families describe the system as simply pushing kids through, with little focus on real learning outcomes. So what's the alternative? Private schools. But quality private education in Las Vegas doesn't come cheap. Families are paying $15,000 to $25,000 per child per year, which means a two-child household could be staring at a $50,000 annual tuition bill, on top of a $3,000 monthly mortgage or rent. For middle-class families, that math just doesn't add up. This has become the final straw for many. Parents may tolerate scorching summers, high power bills, and even rising home prices. But when they feel their children's futures are at stake, the decision is clear. They leave.
What makes this especially painful is the contrast. In wealthier neighborhoods like Summerlin or Henderson, there are excellent schools. But that's the exception, not the rule. The majority of families don't have the income to buy into those zip codes, so they're left with fewer options. And when you add in Nevada's reputation as one of the most poorly funded public school systems in the nation, the frustration boils over. For young families, education isn't just another factor, it's the deal breaker. And when the deal breaks, they walk. But schools aren't the only hidden cost driving people away. Even if you don't have kids, the everyday expenses of living in Vegas pile up in ways newcomers never expect.
Number 7. The hidden costs of everyday living. Most newcomers to Las Vegas budget for a mortgage, rent, or maybe even sky-high summer power bills. But what really blindsides people are the little costs that stack up month after month until they quietly drain your bank account. These hidden expenses are one of the most common reasons new residents say, "We just can't make it work here." Start with your car. The desert doesn't just test people, it destroys vehicles. Tires that should last 60,000 miles are lucky to survive 3 summers. The relentless heat cracks dashboards, fades paint, and forces air conditioners to run at full blast. Many locals budget an extra $1,000 to $1,500 a year just for vehicle upkeep in Vegas, because without it, you'll be stranded on the side of I-15 when the thermometer reads 118 degrees Fahrenheit. Then there's lifestyle creep. Remember, Las Vegas isn't just a city, it's the entertainment capital of the world. When you live here, you're constantly surrounded by temptation: world-class restaurants, residencies, Cirque du Soleil shows, and bars that never close. For a newcomer, it's easy to say, "Let's splurge just this once." But soon, once becomes every weekend, and families find themselves spending $500 to $800 more a month than they planned. And of course, the elephant in the room: gambling. Not everyone develops a problem, but constant exposure takes its toll. From neighborhood slots in grocery stores to glittering strip casinos, the opportunity to gamble is everywhere. For those susceptible, the easy access can wreck budgets and marriages fast. Add to that the transient nature of the city. With people constantly moving in and out, it can be hard to build stable friendships or find community support. For families who value strong neighborhood ties, that sense of rootlessness often feels like another hidden cost, one measured in emotional strain rather than dollars. Put it all together, and Las Vegas's affordable lifestyle often ends up costing far more than people expected. By the time families realize they're bleeding money through car repairs, entertainment, and creeping expenses, the damage is done. That's when they start looking for the exit. But if the hidden costs chip away at your wallet, the next factor strikes at something even more basic: your sense of security. Because in Las Vegas, crime and safety concerns are forcing residents to think twice about staying. Number 6. The housing price explosion. Imagine arriving in Las Vegas with hopes of buying your dream home, only to realize the same 3-bedroom house that sold for $118,000 in 2012 now costs nearly $485,000. That's a staggering 300% increase in just over a decade. For many, the price surge feels less like opportunity and more like betrayal. This is the opening shockwave that's pushing residents to pack their boxes and say goodbye. Here's the reality. Only 1/3 of southern Nevada households can actually afford today's median-priced home. Put another way, if 2 out of 3 families had to buy their current house at today's market rate, they couldn't qualify. With mortgage rates hovering near 7%, a $485,000 house translates to a monthly payment of roughly $2,870 before taxes and insurance. Add in HOA fees, property taxes, and insurance, and most households are staring down $3,200 a month or more. To comfortably afford that, you need an annual income north of $115,000, a level far beyond the reach of many Vegas workers whose median household earnings hover around $72,000. Renters aren't escaping either. A basic 2-bedroom apartment that cost $1,200 just a few years ago now runs $2,000 or more. Over half of Nevada's renters are cost-burdened, meaning more than 35% of their income goes directly to rent. For young families and working-class newcomers, it's not just unaffordable, it's unsustainable. And competition makes things worse. Out-of-state investors, particularly from California, swoop in with cash offers tens of thousands above asking price. Local families are left in the dust, unable to compete in bidding wars. Meanwhile, state estimates show that Las Vegas needs 7,000 new apartments every year just to keep up with demand. The city isn't even close to that pace, so the crunch keeps tightening. When the cost of simply putting a roof over your head doubles in less than a decade, people don't just struggle, they leave.
Number 5. Crime and safety concerns. The bright lights of the Strip may dazzle tourists, but locals know that once you step away from the neon, Las Vegas tells a different story. One where safety is never guaranteed. Statistically, the city ranks in the 35th percentile for safety, meaning 65% of American cities are safer. That's not exactly the reassuring picture families want when they're deciding where to put down roots. Property crime is rampant. Vehicle break-ins, home burglaries, and petty theft hit everyday residents just as hard as tourists. Ask around, and you'll hear countless stories of neighbors finding shattered car windows or packages disappearing from porches. Violent crime is also above the national average, concentrated in certain neighborhoods, but spilling into areas many newcomers assumed were safe. For parents, the rise in school violence has been particularly alarming. Since students returned from virtual learning, reports of fights and safety incidents inside Clark County schools have climbed. Families who came to Las Vegas seeking opportunity now find themselves weighing their children's safety against their mortgages. Many ultimately decide that no tax savings or sunshine is worth the daily fear of what might happen at school. And here's the tough part. Newcomers from smaller towns are often unprepared. They arrive expecting suburban calm, only to face the realities of living in a fast-growing metro with big city crime patterns. Even residents in otherwise nice neighborhoods are advised to invest in alarm systems, reinforced doors, and surveillance cameras. That's an extra cost, and more importantly, an extra layer of stress. Metro police do their best, and in many communities, neighborhood watch programs are active and effective. But the sheer scale of Las Vegas makes it impossible to erase the problem. For families who've never had to think twice about walking after dark, the adjustment is jarring.
Safety isn't just about numbers, it's about peace of mind. And when families feel that sense of security slipping away, no amount of sunshine, shows, or tax savings can convince them to stay. That's why crime concerns are quietly fueling the exodus. But while safety strikes at the heart, another factor cuts into the very foundation of life in Las Vegas. Its shaky dependence on water and resources in the middle of the desert.
Number 4. Water scarcity and resource limits. Las Vegas has always been a city that defies nature. A glittering oasis built in the middle of one of the driest deserts in North America. But that defiance is catching up with it.
For many residents, water scarcity isn't just an abstract environmental issue. It's a daily reminder that life here is precarious. Consider this. Lake Mead, the city's primary water source, has dropped to its lowest level since the 1930s. The iconic bathtub rings are more than just striking visuals. They're warning signs of a system stretched to its limits. With the Colorado River under historic strain, the question isn't if Las Vegas will face water shortages, but how severe they'll be. The city has made remarkable strides in conservation. Officials point out that, despite adding nearly 500,000 residents in the last 2 decades, Las Vegas actually uses less water today than it did 20 years ago. That's thanks to aggressive recycling programs, restrictions on lawns, and efficiency mandates. But for everyday residents, the sacrifices feel personal. Grass lawns? Ripped out. Decorative fountains? Banned. Neighborhood pools? Restricted. Meanwhile, many locals can't help but notice that California still pumps water into sprawling suburbs and golf courses, leaving Nevadans wondering if they're shouldering more than their fair share. The problem isn't just lifestyle inconvenience, it's also about long-term security. People worry, will my home even hold its value if water becomes scarcer? Investors and homeowners alike are starting to question whether Las Vegas real estate can remain stable in a future where drought is the new normal. And then there's the heat, compounding the problem. Climate change means more evaporation, more strain on reservoirs, and more uncertainty. Families thinking 20 or 30 years ahead, especially those with children, see the risk and decide to leave for greener, literally greener, pastures. Water is life. And when life in Las Vegas feels like it depends on a river running dry, residents don't just worry, they act. They sell, they move, and they look for a future where they don't have to wonder if tomorrow's faucet will still flow. But if water scarcity raises long-term doubts, another factor strikes much sooner. The instability of jobs in a city still tied to tourism and entertainment. Number 3. Job market instability and economic dependence. Las Vegas sells itself as a land of opportunity, but for many residents, the promise doesn't last. The city's economy has always leaned heavily on tourism, hospitality, and entertainment. When times are good, jobs are plentiful. But when times turn, the bottom falls out fast. And that roller coaster is driving thousands of families to seek stability elsewhere. Take the pandemic as a stark reminder. In 2020, Las Vegas experienced one of the highest unemployment spikes in the entire nation, peaking at nearly 34% joblessness when the Strip shut down. While the economy has bounced back in raw numbers, scars remain. Workers in hotels, casinos, and restaurants know firsthand how fragile their livelihoods are. Many say they live with the constant fear that the next economic downturn, global event, or even policy change could wipe out their income overnight. Even outside of tourism, diversification has been slow. Yes, Amazon, Tesla, and even SpaceX have operations here, and there's growth in logistics and tech, but those sectors can't yet match the scale of the casino and entertainment industries. For every high-paying tech job, there are dozens of service roles that pay modest wages that don't come close to matching the cost of housing. Remember, you now need about $115,000 a year to comfortably afford the median home. The reality? Median household income in Las Vegas sits around $72,000. That mismatch leaves many working families trapped. Another challenge is benefits. Hospitality jobs may pay tips, but health insurance, retirement plans, and stability are often lacking. Families looking at long-term security, especially those raising children, find it hard to imagine building wealth in a city where the economy feels like a gamble. The consequence? People move. They trade the flashing lights of the Strip for quieter cities with lower living costs and more diverse job markets. Places where a layoff doesn't mean complete financial collapse. For many, the allure of no state income tax isn't enough to offset the fear of instability. Las Vegas's economy may glitter, but for too many households it's built on shaky ground. And when jobs can vanish as fast as they appear, families decide they'd rather stake their future somewhere less risky. But even if you survive the housing market, the heat, and the job roller coaster, there's one more pressure point that quietly eats into your paycheck: rising taxes, insurance, and the creeping cost of simply owning property in Nevada. Number 2. Taxes, insurance, and the cost of ownership. Las Vegas is famous for one thing above all: no state income tax. For decades, that slogan drew Californians, retirees, and entrepreneurs by the thousands. But here's the uncomfortable truth residents are discovering in 2025. Even without income tax, the hidden costs of owning property in Nevada are climbing so high that many families are packing their bags anyway. Start with property taxes. Nevada's rates may look modest on paper, but when paired with median home prices pushing $485,000, annual bills add up quickly. Factor in Homeowners Association (HOA) fees, common in Las Vegas suburbs, and families find themselves writing checks every month for expenses they never planned on. Some HOAs charge hundreds of dollars just for landscaping rules and pool maintenance, a bitter pill when your mortgage is already north of $3,000 a month. Insurance is another pain point. The extreme climate, brutal heat, flash floods, and even wildfire risk has driven up premiums across the valley. And while it's not yet the crisis we see in Florida or California, locals are noticing steady increases year after year. Add in auto insurance, among the highest in the nation, and suddenly that tax savings you bragged about is swallowed whole. Utilities add insult to injury. Air conditioning alone can tack on $400 to $700 a month in the summer. Water bills, once negligible, have risen as drought policies tighten. Even garbage and sewer fees creep upward as the city strains to support 2.3 million residents with limited resources. The problem isn't just affordability. It's unpredictability. People move to Las Vegas expecting financial relief, but instead they find themselves juggling bills that inch higher with every season. That lack of stability makes it hard for families to budget, retirees to plan, or young professionals to save. And when the math no longer works, people leave. The irony is painful. A city marketed as a tax haven is now driving residents away because the small costs are no longer small. When ownership itself feels like a burden, the so-called paradise starts looking like a trap. And that brings us to the final and perhaps most overlooked reason people are leaving Las Vegas in 2025. It's not just about money, weather, or schools. It's about the social fabric of the city itself. Number 1. The transient lifestyle and lack of community roots. For all the talk of housing costs, heat waves, and job instability, the most personal reason people leave Las Vegas in 2025 comes down to something less tangible: community. Or rather, the lack of it. Las Vegas is a city built for visitors. It thrives on the constant flow of tourists, convention-goers, and short-term workers. But that same transient energy seeps into daily life for residents. Neighbors come and go. Apartments flip tenants every year. Families move in chasing sunshine or tax savings, only to move out once the reality sets in. For those trying to build long-term friendships or a sense of belonging, it can feel like running on a treadmill that never stops. Many newcomers expect the city's glittering social scene to translate into vibrant local culture. Instead, they find the opposite. Unless you're into nightlife or gambling, Las Vegas can feel surprisingly isolating. Parents lament the lack of family-friendly activities compared to other metros. Outdoor lovers have options like Red Rock Canyon or Mount Charleston, but daily life still revolves around casinos and entertainment. That disconnect leaves many feeling unmoored. Then there's the economic churn. When your neighbors work in hospitality, gaming, or transient industries, their schedules are unpredictable. Social ties are harder to maintain when friends are working weekends, late nights, or constantly switching jobs. For some, that means life in Vegas feels transactional, not relational. The irony is that even though 2.3 million people live in the valley, Las Vegas can feel lonelier than small towns with a fraction of the population. The city's rapid growth hasn't been matched with community infrastructure. Libraries, cultural centers, local traditions that knit people together. Without that glue, many residents never feel truly at home. And so, after the bills, after the summers, after the struggles with schools and jobs, what finally breaks people is the realization that they don't see themselves here long-term. They miss their roots, their networks, their sense of belonging. And no amount of shrimp buffets, cirque shows, or neon skylines can replace that. In the end, Las Vegas offers glitz, but struggles with grounding. And when residents decide they need more than tax breaks and sunshine, they do the same thing as the tourists. They pack up and leave. Las Vegas shines bright, but beneath the neon lies a harsher truth. From housing costs to heat, schools, and community struggles, it's no wonder people are leaving. What do you think? Is Vegas still worth it? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe for more real estate insights.